Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Orange Juice News and Notes from around the world of Insoles. I am your host, Owen. This is episode number 40 already, so we want to make it an extra special one by bringing on our feature athlete, Amelia Moore. How are you, Amelia?
Hey, Owen. Awesome. Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Yes, this
Or
is
whenever this
Halloween
airs, my
recorded
bad.
edition. No, we are recording on Halloween, so all good there. For those of you at home that are dressing up and trick or treating, don't forget your insoles. That can always help. My family is going as Sesame Street, and I was just told that I'm Big Bird, so I'm gonna be Big Bird for Halloween.
You've been voluntold as tribute as Big Bird.
Exactly. I was voluntold that I'm Big Bird, but I'm not gonna fight it. We're gonna have a good time. For those of you who haven't kept up with Amelia's story, she is a U.S. Olympic boxing athlete from 2020. She is the current number 5 ranked in the world by the WBO in the super lightweight class. She is undefeated, and she is also our absolute favorite fighter. So we're excited to have her on, and we're going to talk a little bit of boxing, which is obviously very much so up and coming sport and also a great workout. So we're just going to get Amelia's take, hear a little bit about her story, and I think you guys will all have a lot of great things that you can take away from it and run with on your own personal fitness or whatever journey it is that you're experiencing. So with that said, Amelia, I know boxing is again up and coming. How would you kind of describe where boxing has been, where it's heading? I know people kind of know a lot of the historic names and whatnot, and we're continuing to grow on those. But what's kind of the latest with boxing aside from just you fighting and moving your way through the ranks?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, boxing's such an old sport and it's like many sports that there's so much money behind it. So it's been turbulent over times. We saw this huge shift from the Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson era, which we had all of the greats. And then I think something's kind of like just due to poor management and money and everything that does happen and comes along with that, a little bit of corruption. But boxing and they're really pushing to bring it back. We're seeing a huge shift with Riyadh season coming in and putting a ton of money into, well, if people don't know who Riyadh season is, it's Turkey Al Sheikh, who is, I think he's from Saudi Arabia, or Dubai. And they've put a ton of money into boxing and many other sports. So Riyadh season actually owns, there's like women's tennis, Formula One. They're creating a PGA, basically a golf tournament that rivals PGA. And so you're seeing all this cultivation happen. But on the women's side, which is crazy fascinating, and I feel so fortunate because I feel like I've been really part of being able to, there's been a couple evolutions of like pioneering, and as far as like, I've been through that evolution with the amateurs. You saw previously, before the 2016 games, women used to fight 4 2-minute rounds. And then a change happened leading up to the 2016 Olympics where women were governed under the same rules as the men, 3 3-minute rounds. So a huge shift. There's such a difference when you talk about cardiovascular capacity, when you start looking at a 3 to 1, 3 minutes to activity to 1 minute recovery time. So as opposed to a 2 to 1, which is just, it's, you wouldn't think a minute would matter that much, but it does. So
50% longer rounds, right?
yep, yeah, huge. I mean, it's your athletes, you start going treading into deep water, and like that's such an amazing place to, because it's not just athleticism at that point. You have to be skillful. So in recent years, I've turned pro in the last year. I actually, what is it, Sunday marks my pro anniversary. So I had my first pro fight November 2nd of last year. And we MVP, which is most valuable promotion, who's actually owned by the Paul brothers, Jake Paul, and they've done huge things for women's boxing. I mean, we're talking about pay parity and pushing for 3 minute rounds in the pros, because they're still really hanging on to that archaic stance of 2 minute rounds, with whatever science they're trying to back it up, saying that women's constitution and brains are not capable of withstanding. And and I always jokingly be like, well, they used to prescribe heroin for menstrual cramps. So, I mean, science science is science, and it's ever evolving. And so we got to keep up with it. But at the same time, like not having bias studies to be able to support certain claims. So MVP in itself has been huge with trying again pushing pay parity, creating opportunities for women. We had an all women's card this past year, which had record breaking views, and it's just exciting to be able to see, regardless of gender, when you put effort into something, you are gaining the value and the worth back of what you put into it. We sacrifice so much for what we do. You can't play this sport. Like, this is not, and to be an elite level athlete, you sacrifice everything. So it's so exciting to be able to actually see these opportunities where for women, it's like, we've all had full time jobs. There's the pay parity. I saw somebody I was on Team USA with. He was a prospect. He got knocked out for $3 million. I had a friend who just, was in an undisputed world title fight. That's all the belts. It was a world title unification fight, $20,000. Like, the pay parity is outrageous, or like lack of parity. So,
Of course.
the discrepancy here is like just astronomical. So, or disparity. And so, yeah, so we're seeing like the cultivation of people putting money back into the sport to create fairness, to create new waves and technology. And so there's all kinds of stuff happening in boxing right now, where we are living in such a interesting time.
Yeah, and it's exciting for you to be able to kind of be a shining star amongst it all, and be able to kind of use your voice and influence to positively impact it. So, for listeners who don't know, Orange Insoles is a female-owned company, and our founder, Marsha, was in the corporate world for years, and she had noticed hardships really simply just because she was female. Not even necessarily on the pay discrepancy side, which obviously isn't correct. And there's been studies that show that that's very much a thing with females not getting paid as much as males across a variety of industries. But even outside of that, and just being able to reach her potential, and being a male, I feel like it is fair to say that women are absolutely great assets, and mean just as much to any situation as men or male dominant situations. And a lot of the times when females are given leadership opportunities or kind of the spotlight to shine, we've seen situations improve, whether that's from like a corporate leadership standpoint, or even just like a general ratings for like an entertainment industry like boxing, that sort of thing. So it is really cool to hear you talk about kind of how it's advancing. It sounds like there's still some work to be done a little bit, to say the
Always,
least.
always more work
But
to do.
it is, kind of part of it is also just talking about it and making sure to raise awareness that that is a thing. And you have our support at Orange Insoles 100%. That's for sure. So.
No, love you guys. I absolutely love you guys. It's just again, like I think why we all gel and mesh so well. But and I would say we are all culturally conditioned, and I think it really comes down to that. And it is about changing culture. And you talk to so many people, like in for women's boxing, they're like, oh, well, women don't sell, or people don't want to watch women's boxing because it's too brutal. No one wants to see a woman getting hit. But then you talk to the fans and you go into the stands, and you're talking to the fans, you're taking pictures, and people are just losing their minds because they love it. They're like, man, the women are so exciting, it's so explosive. And it's like, yeah, we are, because we're coming from this place of we the opportunities are far and few between. And when you're given that opportunity, we freaking run with it. You know what I mean? So it's like we get that opportunity to be on the big stage. It's like we are fighting for so much more than just a paycheck. We're fighting for to be seen, to be heard, to have a place on the stage, and want to be asked back. It's not about being good as a man or a woman. It's being a damn good fighter. And so, yeah, I mean, again, and just like maybe just a culture shift of is these narratives that are out there that they're just not true. Like, let's stop saying things that just aren't true anymore. I mean, like, it's crazy. It's like, you've ever seen Liar Liar, and he's like trying to lie and say that the pen is blue. The pen's not blue. Or the
You're
pen is
preaching to the
blue, it's
choir
not
over
red.
here. You're preaching to the choir. And with that said, I feel like there are so many like misunderstandings about boxing, and one of the things, especially us just being like a health and fitness podcast, is that it can be an amazing workout. Or maybe that's not even a misunderstanding. Maybe most people do know that. But what what do people often understand about boxing, or what's maybe something that you'd want to shed light on for people that maybe aren't too into it or haven't experienced much of it?
Totally. I think a lot of people, there's a misconception with those that have never participated in something like a combat sport. Like, if you've never done wrestling, judo, taekwondo, martial arts, boxing, I have family members even, this is even hits close to home. Like, people think it's brutal or, animalistic or, just too violent. And anything that you do at a completely elite level is so far from, you have to detach yourself from emotion. People are like, oh, if I ever got hit, I would see red. And I'm like, well, that's probably why you're not an elite athlete. So, uh, like, you have to detach the emotion from it. And I think boxing, it's very interesting because you find people who come. So we have the gym that I train out of, Boxing with Love. We have, she trains everybody. And so my coach is actually a woman, which is incredible because there's only a few of them throughout the world in boxing. And everybody learns foundational boxing. It's not a fitness class. I mean, you are going to get fit from it, but you start to see people that, why are they drawn to the sport, and they're usually digging into something that they're dealing with. Boxing is one of the craziest therapies that you could ever choose to do. Not only is it creates bilateral movement, which is it oh my gosh, and is it oh God, MDR. It's the therapy that it's kind of like where they have the ticking and it's like the click, 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 but it creates bilateral recognition, which makes like when your eyes shift to both sides. Same thing happens when we have REM sleep. So this bilateral movement of actually like punching with both hands, or when you jog and both of your legs are moving, you actually are able to process emotion and memory or thoughts and memories that haven't been categorized. So boxing in itself, there's such a depth to it where on the outside, when you're judging a book by its cover, you're like, wow, look at how brutal this sport is and how there's so much violence. But in itself, it really helps people dig into where they've come from, what they've been exposed to, what they're going through, and actually be able to process it through it. And one is, it's like a whole body workout. You feel fulfilled and it's amazing. But you yourself, it's you and you. It's you versus you. And how often there's so many times where we can hide ourselves from just the vulnerability of just being exposed. And I think that that's what the really beautiful takeaway from boxing is that it really strips you down. The effort that you put into it is what you get out. There are no shortcuts, nothing is given. And where you are as a person, you can lie to yourself and be like, oh, I'm this and that. And even if you're just training and you're not sparring, I think that the effort that, what you're experiencing in your body is so exposing. And then you get in the ring and you try to talk a big game, and it does not matter. It does not matter. It is so revealing. And so, yeah, I think boxing, it really is the sweet science. It's so much more than just two people getting in the ring trying to punch each other in the face. It's a chess match, and it's about intelligence and all the little pieces that come together.
Very well said. And we talked a lot in the past about how workouts, whether it's boxing or whatever it may be, are a great like physical and emotional cleanse. And it sounds like the technique behind boxing even takes that a step further. And it's just so important to have different ideas of ways to explore your fitness journey and to keep moving. And this could be something for audience members that's like, hey, maybe I do want to pick this up and give it a try, even if it is on like a very basic level, like a 101 level. So what would you recommend, Amelia, for someone who's trying to hop into boxing or might want to give it a shot?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody should do it. Everybody should learn how to experience their bodies in this fashion, knowing how the self-confidence that you gain from being able having that awareness and like control. It's so, we all look like new ducklings when we're in there and we first start boxing and people are trying to learn how to punch and their hands are doing all kinds of weird stuff. We look like kids, it's like we literally look like children where they're like wiggling around and stuff, and you're like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, just trying to learn to use my body, But my biggest advice is the culture is everything. Go to a gym. If you're looking for a gym and the things that you're looking for, there's so many out there, right? There's so many fitness places that you can go to. Um, just because they have a sign doesn't mean they're great. So feel the culture out. You want to be in an environment that people are looking to help rise others up, and that you're learning new things, and that there's also a structure. It's really hard to get just thrown into this. One thing that I love about my coach and the culture that she's created in her gym is there's a step-by-step process. She's in the midst of writing a book on training plans and how to actually build foundationally. And you look at any sport, and I think that's the one thing that's missing from boxing is you play basketball. There's a foundational growth process, a step-by-step process to be able to bring you into higher competition. And so you're looking for that. You're looking for that time where you can do partner drills. You're doing the bag endurance. You're training on the heavy bags. Maybe you have time for mitts. I would say the biggest thing though is culture, because you're going to meet people, and you want to be able to. It creates energy when you're around people who are looking to become more, looking to become better, and find something in themselves. It cultivates that you and also. So it's find good people and feel it out. And if it's not a good fit, don't be bashful. Go somewhere else. It's okay. You will find your people. Just get out there. And yeah, I think that's like a really big thing. As I've gotten older, it's like, your friend group gets smaller and smaller. And it's just also, I realize that like my isolation level of what I'm specifically doing, I'm only around the same people, but you have to get out there and just, I watched this thing the other day that was like one of the most underrated, emotions that we don't explore is uh I think it shamefulness or something, not shamefulness, but foolishness. And like don't be afraid to look a fool, because we're all going to look funky and foolish when we're trying something new. Like it's just like learning a new language. So, yeah, just do it.
100%. I'll actually give our founder Marsha. I'll give her some props. I don't know if she's told you this yet, Amelia, but she did go out and take a class since the
Did
last
she? So she
conversation.
said she was going to, but I hadn't heard any follow-up. So this is fantastic.
She did, and she said, by the end, you're just worried about, how do I make sure I can hold up the gloves and still just,
Yep.
it's like the basics. It's not about kind of doing, A to Z, but just the very little things. And she said, yeah, it is absolutely a complete workout.
I love it. See, it's like you go in there worried about feeling foolish, and then you realize that the most you can do is just try to keep your hands up at the end of the practice. That's incredible.
So yeah, I'm sure Marsha would want to defend herself a little bit and give herself some props for her attending the boxing class, which we definitely are. A plus, Marsha. But Amelia, how did you get into boxing, or where did it all kind of start for you?
Yeah, I've been doing martial arts since I was 7 years old. Got into a program that was available after school. Was really great because I was able to do it. It was a free program at the time, just kind of like an intro free session, and I kind of just fell in love with that. And later on in my into high school, I actually got emancipated and became my own guardian. And part of that, I there was like a kind of like a reconciliation. I don't want to say I hate using the word reconciliation. I was trying to reconnect with my mom, and we ended up going to a women's self defense class. And like I said, I've been doing martial arts since I was 7, and I always had a really hard time with team sports because I hurt the other girls. Like it would just. I like knocked somebody's teeth out in field hockey, broke some girl's leg in soccer. They had to put me in the goal. I ended up on the men's hockey team in goal, and another goalie situation because they didn't have a women's hockey team. So I always kind of found myself in these places of like, she's too strong, she's too aggressive, which is crazy because I was like 130 pounds and I still am. I'm like still the same height and weight that I was in high school. And but so yeah, I we did this women's self-defense class, and it was all the way. I lived at Griffin, Maine, so it was all the way in Portland, Maine, and it was too far and it was too expensive. The guy was asking like $300 a month, and back in like early 2000s, it's like,
Oh yeah.
are you nuts? And also, I had just become my own guardian, and I had 2 jobs through high school, and I felt like this fire kind of ignite in me. I was like, wow, this is Portland, Maine. There's know at the time there really wasn't a lot of diversity. I and this guy had this female black woman that was his fighter, and it was like to see her pictures up on the wall, I was like, wow, I was so blown away. And I feel like that wow sense had hit me a couple times. When I first started doing karate, I met the sensei John and Beth, and I when I met them and I met their kids, I was like, these people are like superheroes. Like I had never met anybody that looked, held themselves the way they did, and was so proficient at everything. It was just like they were well spoken. They were like it was just like I don't know, like it felt very Bruce Lee-ish. And the same thing when I did this women's self-defense class, and he was telling me about his female fighter, and I was just like, holy cow, like that's amazing, you know. And it just, I felt something just kind of like start to kindle, and I wasn't sure what it was, but I knew that there was something there. And about a year later, about my junior year in high school, my guidance counselor was like, we got to get you into college. Like, I can't let you be, like, he was very close to, he was actually my boyfriend's uncle. And he was not to be like, I don't want you to be a statistic, but here I am. I'm emancipated. I'm working two jobs through high school. I'm still a varsity athlete. I'm taking AP classes in high school. And he's like, you're too smart. You have to go to college. You have to go do something. You have to pursue it. And my plan was to go into the military. So came from, a pretty small town. The economy is not fantastic. There's not a lot of money and not a lot of resources. So what's one way to get out of that situation? Go into the military. So I actually started like looking into, he gave me a catalog to West Point and Annapolis, and I started doing what research I could on Google of, on dial up at the time. And I'm like dating myself. Like, how old do I actually look? Because I've been lying to everybody. So, but
I'm a dial-up guy as well.
I love it. All right.
So I'm right there with you.
The
And if
the
people
era
don't
of the
understand
landline.
it, then you're too young for this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. You're not too young for the podcast. You can still listen.
Never, never, but take a history lesson while you're
Yeah.
here. So yeah, I started like trying to find out information, and I think it's comical because like every time I tell this story, I'm just like, wow, like James Franco really changed my life. So I came across this movie Annapolis, which and the U.S. Naval Academy is Annapolis, and he
Mhm.
starred as the main character in this movie Annapolis, and him being a midshipman and getting pulled into the school. And it was all about brigade boxing, and I was like, this is where I gotta go. And thanks to James Franco, that's how I pretty much decided I was going to go there instead of West Point, even though I got direct entry right into West Point. So that's yeah, I just kind of just kept pursuing it, got to the Naval Academy. I was actually recruited as a D1 track athlete at USNA, and
Okay.
when I got there, I still went for the boxing program. They allowed women to fight inside what's called brigades, but they didn't, even though they had a men's travel competition team, the coach at the time wouldn't allow women. And I was so upset. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm one of those people that I think innately I have this default coding, which inside of my DNA says when someone says no, I'm just like, I'm sorry, I don't understand what that word means. Like, that no is just it's a challenge to explain why no is not an appropriate response. Like I don't know. So I ended up, like, without telling anybody, I was sneaking off campus to a car I wasn't supposed to have a mile away, and driving my car 20 minutes outside of Annapolis to Millersville, where I found my coach, who's in the Boxing Hall of Fame of Mid-Atlantic region, DC Hall of Fame for coaching. And he was my first foundations coach, and yeah, I just fell in love with it. And I was like, if I can't do it here, then I'm gonna fight. And I think it was actually a blessing, because if I had done just collegiate boxing, I don't think I would have ever made it to the level that I did, that I'm at. Like, it's just, we can never be bitter about the doors that shut on us, because more than likely our time in the hallway builds character, and the next door down the way is going to be the one that means that you're meant for more. So yeah, it's kind of my hap chance pursuit of boxing. It just called to me, and everyone's like, why don't you do MMA, why don't you do this? And I had to wrestle when I was in the Navy and learn that, and swim. And but man, boxing calls to my soul, and I just like the idea of getting kneed in the face or kicked in the face in MMA is just not appealing. It's just not.
Yeah, just that next step that we're gonna just settle for the boxing technique.
Yeah,
Settle
yeah.
such a I feel like
I'm a
not fair
tactician,
work.
man. I really love what I do. So you gotta like have like a real passion for whatever that happens to, whatever that container is. So
Well, it sounds like you've learned quite a bit about yourself and just about challenging yourself and maybe defining success and all of that good stuff through boxing, which is amazing. So for you now, you're currently undefeated um, in your professional boxing career. What is next for you? Is it, even if it's not just boxing? Because I know you're kind of a busy person outside of boxing as well. But what are your kind of your goals, or what are you hoping for is next to come?
yeah, so I'm actually fighting November 22nd again. I know I just fought on October
Wow.
11th. Yeah, I had an injury back in April, so it kind of put me on the sidelines for a little bit. So this year's been wild. It's been a really crazy year of growth. I've had the opportunity to be a ringside and sideline reporter for Team Boxing League. So I have had an insane amount of TV time to be able to learn this new skill of ringside analyst and broadcast. It's been amazing telling other athletes stories. I think that's been the biggest takeaway for me is helping other people find a voice, and also just as I've learned through the experience, being able to coach them so that their time on camera telling their stories is as impactful as possible. Like I'll be on, in the back and I'm like, all right, the light's about to turn red, so this is what we're going to talk about. And they're like, okay, okay, So and having an athlete talk to another athlete is
Yeah.
um it's just different. It elicits a different response. So I've been really blessed this year with just such cool opportunities. I've traveled all around the US while I was in recovery and healing from my injury. And I also got my EMT national certification this year in the midst of traveling every single weekend for 4 days straight. Was going to school for EMT. So I would say like the next steps would I really want to get IV certified for EMT. I'm doing another certification for sports nutrition. I'm a sports nutritionist and a certified personal trainer. And so I'm finishing two of my next levels of uh, performance exercise, which is kind of like that next step into elite strength and conditioning training. Um, and also I want to get my IV cert for EMT. And then on the backside, not the backside, the forefront, the one that's really running strong right now is I'm fighting November 2nd again. So we were really hoping to get fight 5 times. I'm only going to have fought 3 times this year. So still, I think after this fight in November, which I'll fight at lightweight, which is 135, I will
Okay.
probably be world ranked in two weight classes now, so 140 and 135. So I'll be fighting the number two girl from Canada on November 22nd. So just keep progressively trying to take fights that keep moving me forward and showing and showcasing and pushing my skill level and my talent so that world titles are on the horizon for next year. I think 2026 is going to be a big year for movement and getting me title shot opportunities.
Well, that's about as busy as it gets, and very well accomplished. That's awesome because you could kind of carve out any one of those several things that you mentioned, and that would be like an awesome high five for what's been going on this year as of lately. So,
I got
I
freaked out
mean,
when I got injured and I was like, "Oh my God, I got to do something now." Like, yeah, I don't know, it's always the end of the world, so I'm like, that's
well,
me.
it sounds like you're overall a pretty motivated person, but how do you kind of manage the mental and also physical demands of training and getting all or completing all these other kind of side missions, what we'll call them, and all that? How do you kind of manage it all, or any tricks or tips for the audience?
Yeah, so I believe wholeheartedly in journaling. And so as soon as I say that, people are like, "Oh, like I don't want to talk about my feelings." I'm like, "Oh, well, no, neither do I." But the organization of having a physical list is one of the best friends that you will find for yourself. Like, please befriend a steno pad with a list and sit down every night and think about what you want to do for the next day. And it literally just starts there. Like, you don't have to be busy every minute, but you do have to make the minutes count, right? And having this, like, I want people so badly to be curious. I think that there are so many of us that are out there. There are so many people that have settled. Please don't. Please, please don't. We are here for just a blink in the eye of the universe, for however long, if you're religious, however long God chooses to have us here, we are nothing. We are just a speck of a moment in how long this whole experience is. And we don't have time to settle. You must maintain a curiosity and a joy for life, and continue to experience and grow and help others. And I think that the more that we find that curiosity and we continue to grow, it cannot, it's innately positive. And I think that it's just one of those things that when we get stuck into this moment of, and this is, a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't have financial. It doesn't have to be financial. The internet's free. You can go to the library. You can Google things. You can use ChatGPT. You can take out books. Libraries are free. And so it's just like, and so many libraries now have like not co-working spaces, but like they have like 3D printers and podcasting rooms, and you can rent drones. Like, please stay curious. I think that's the biggest thing. Get yourself a steno pad, write out the things that you want to be productive for your next day. Even if it's like, so there's days where I'm like, wake up, make sure you eat, fold your laundry. Like, it's
100%.
literally that simple. And then just stay curious. Like, please don't live somebody else's life through a screen. It is, make go out there and live and experience and get in the sunshine. And I know a lot of us have to sit in front of a computer, but we get, I somebody said the other day, it was like Netflix's biggest competitor is sleep. And there was a Bo Burnham, who's, of all people, he's so funny. He's the one who did the Inside sketch during 2020. He's like a satire sing-along comedian, but he said, he's like, they're coming for all of our minutes, and they're coming for your time, and that's the most valuable currency right now. So like, take that, reclaim that time, and just go outside, even if it's just to sit for a moment. So yeah, get a steno pad, stay curious, and stay outside.
I love it. I love how you take this massive idea of really being intentional with your time and not settling, but also kind of boil it down for those listening where it's like, yeah, and start by just prioritizing, what you want to do tomorrow, or maybe it's just even prioritizing what you want to do the rest of the day or what you want to do next week. Just meet yourself where you're at and
Yeah.
start building healthy habits and stacking them and keep moving, right?
Yeah, and I think that the either like, that we put it on a pedestal, right? We're like, oh, to create this goal, we've got this goal, and it's just like, well, screw the goal. Like, yes, have it. Be like, okay, I want this thing. Okay, and whatever that happens to be, like a, EMT class. I want to do that, but like, how do you get there? And it's really being able to condense the pieces, these little pieces, and that's what gets you there. It's just like it's the process and these little moments. So, if you do, all you gotta do is take a shuffle step every single day. That's it. And it really does build on it. You talk about habit stacking. It really does build on itself. We are creatures of habit, and when we're out of practice, it feels hard and it feels resistant in our bodies. And I would tell you that the things that we are resisting the most are probably the things we need to spend the most time driving towards. So, whatever you're avoiding, whether it's that laundry pile or, whatever, going out there and just going for a walk, like that's the cue that that's what you need to do the most.
Very well said. And now you have me thinking about my laundry pile upstairs.
Listen, there's two things I hate to do. I hate to fold laundry, and I cannot stand cleaning the bathtub, but like
That's very fair. Um, Amelia, any advice for young athletes or really young girls kind of chasing big goals and dreams?
I my biggest advice for all my youngins out there is always ask questions. Always know why you're doing stuff. Be in the driver's seat of your experience. And I feel like that's my coined term. Like, I just want everybody to be in the driver's seat. I don't want you guys to be passengers, or sitting in the back seat and letting somebody else dictate this experience for you. Ask questions, be thoughtful, and be smart. And I've seen athletes that they get down the road and they're like, well, I don't know why I'm doing this. Well, why? The only fault is yours for not asking questions and being involved in the process, because an intelligent athlete and an involved and thoughtful athlete are the most dangerous kind, and you start to really be able to put the pieces together. So think for yourself, always ask questions, and if people don't want to give you answers, then you know that they're really not on your team. You want people that have the same vision as you do and they want to see you grow. And that's the biggest thing that, again, like this is all about experience, and there's going to be more than sport afterwards, and the what you take from it. So be around, ask questions, and make sure that the people around you are trying to help you grow also and have the same vision.
Very well said. And there are it can be difficult to find those people, but there are so many great people out there.
Yep.
Maybe they're not in plain sight for you, but I promise there are people that are going to help you kind of reach your goals and just the next level overall for sure.
Yeah. And there's
Um,
gonna be people that disappoint you, and it's okay. It's okay. I used to have my like adopted mom used to tell me all the time, like everybody's gonna disappoint you, even me, even you. You're gonna disappoint yourself at times, but um and that's okay, but it tells you, it's another flag. Like it's nothing's ever a failure. It's always just like another stepping stone towards what can we do better next time? What can we do better? So don't ever be afraid to I would say this last bit of advice is something that I've given to a few of the young women that especially as you start to move through your career. Not everybody is going Sometimes people's gifts are only going to be able to take you so far, and that's okay. Never be mad at somebody because they weren't able to take you any farther. They've given you the gifts that they can of their time, but unfortunately, some of that part of that journey is going to have to be alone, and some of that journey you're going to have to find new people. And it's not a loyalty thing, but not everybody has the tools to take you all the way. So again, and the people that love you and truly believe in your vision will always be by your side, even and help you find those people if they don't have the tools to help you find the people with the tools. So again, it's just kind of like a little something to kind of check and balance to know if the people around you are really the ones that really care about your evolution.
so well said, because it really does take a village. Is kind of the bottom line, and
Yep.
a lot of it, like you said, falls on yourself. But at the end of the day, you got to reach out and find those people as well that are going to help you. So being an insole podcast right here at the end, Amelia, we just want to touch on orange insoles. I don't want to, I guess, take away from the insoles, but maybe not quite as exciting as your awesome story. But with that said, have you? I believe you had, but had you tried insoles in the past before connecting with us? And what was kind of your experience, and what were your thoughts about orange insoles when you tried them?
Yeah, so I have used insoles. I actually started using them post my actually going into my D1 track uh career, and hadn't used them before that, and I would get these shin splints, and so I found myself kind of traveling down the road of like what is this, and then understanding more and more about what really fits me. And I love the fact that we connected. I love the fact because not every product's fantastic. Like I think that's one of the really crazy things about the US is we have so many options. Like we have so
Yeah.
many options. We've got low grade options and these high grade options that may not even like you're paying all this money and they may not be fantastic, but something that very specifically and it's hard to find stuff that really works. And we connected, was able to try them out. I've put the 3/4 length in every one of my boxing shoes, and like I actually made a video about it, but it wasn't just advertising. It was like it's real. I have never recently Everlast sent me out a pair of their shoes, and I always liked them, but I felt like they were like flat and they didn't really fit my foot, and I never purchased them for myself. So they sent me out a pair and sponsored me a pair, and I was like, all right, I'm like, I want to put the inserts in them because they're in my Adidas, and I'm like, they're the most comfortable shoes now because my 3/4 length are in there, and I'm like my feet aren't tired, my feet aren't like hitting the bottom of this like very flat no arch support shoe, because boxing shoes are very almost like ballet shoe-esque, like wrestling shoes, like they're very form fitted, and if they don't have that arch support, it's like your feet just get exhausted because you're constantly on your toes. So yeah, I threw those 3/4 in there and I'm like, man, these shoes are fantastic. I don't think I'll ever box in anything else ever again. I like never liked these shoes, and now that I've got the inserts in them, like these are like the best shoes ever. So you guys have like transformed a product without them even knowing it. But yeah, I mean, I have inserts. I use orange in my trail hiking shoes and my La Sportivas when I'm trail running or hiking. I use them in my track shoes. I have them in my even my minimalist shoes that I use when I lift. I use a wide toe box zero drop for when I lift. So or I just go barefoot. But yeah, I mean, I've got orange in all of my shoes, and I love it. I'm really really happy. It's no shin splints. My foot is super super stable, and yeah, that's I think the biggest takeaway for me is the boxing shoes. It's just like of all, I never thought in a million years that would be because I could never get them to fit, and the 3/4 length made such a huge difference because I don't have to cut them down. So, yep.
Well said. So we tell people that we have basically an insole for just about any shoe. I think a fair challenge to that would be like boxing shoes, for example. Like, I don't know if you really have one for boxing shoes. Amelia's talking about the orange light 3/4. And we've talked about it a ton on the podcast in the past, but it'll fit into pretty much any shoe. Obviously, boxing shoes, but it also fits into like high heels and flats and other things of that nature. So pretty much, if you kind of have that shoe where you're like, yeah, I don't know if an insole would work with this, the orange light would probably be worth giving a shot just because it has such a minimal profile. But then it has also a structured arch, and what that really does is just help distribute your weight more evenly across your foot. So, like Amelia being a boxer, when she's on her toes or kind of on the ball of her foot, she doesn't experience as much pressure just on the toes. It may be also across like her metatarsal pads and then back into the medial arch and so on and so forth. Well said, Amelia. I mean, we don't need to harp on it too much, but it's just so cool to see you incorporate orange insoles into your everyday routine, your boxing, and just your other footwear you wear as well. So thank you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just to pitch this in there for people. So for me, it's like we all have different, like the way our foot rests on the ground, the way our arch is made, structurally, it's all different, right? We can work on I do so much foot strengthening movements, and I train a lot when I'm doing my S&C barefoot. I have a super high arch, and it's literally called a ghost arch because if I were to step on a pad, you can't see it at all. Like it's like just kind of the outer part of my foot because my arches are so high. And you would think been this huge movement towards wide toe box zero drop. Um, a lot of those shoes don't have arch support. There's not like a real built up arch in there because the idea is to make your feet stronger or what have it. Not all of us are genetically made that way. My body is
Mhm.
made so I physically need an arch support. Otherwise, my foot gets so exhausted that my Achilles tendons start to ache. So that's been like the light 3/4 has been so helpful because I can put that into my minimalist shoes, still get the spread of my toes and have that zero drop, but at the same time have the support so that I'm actually getting the full effect of it. So it's been pretty cool being able to on both sides, and again, like there's been this big push towards that side, but not everybody's bodies are designed to be able to do all, do, and it's I won't call it a fad because I think everybody needs to start going, using their bodies and learning how to use their feet again. But again, it's like even with that, some of our bodies need a little bit more support, and that's just it's true. So yeah, it's been such a great addition.
Yeah, well said. Because with insoles, it like you said, it's more of a holistic approach where the strengthening is super important to make sure that you have healthy feet, strong muscles, especially as you start to age. But also stretching is a big factor as well, and then also insoles can be another factor, or just supportive footwear or whatever it may be. So yes, strengthening is important, but not just in a vacuum. And there are other things that you can do as well to help benefit you. And our slogans feel better and do more, but really like help you feel better and ultimately do more. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, support you in recovery or what have it. Absolutely. No, love you guys. I appreciate you guys so much.
absolutely. So for those of you who might be interested to try Orange Insoles, if you haven't already, you can use Amelia's code on our website, Fight10. for 10% off your purchase. So please feel free to check us out and do that. We also have an insole quiz if you're not sure which ones would be best for you. But Amelia, good luck on your fight. What is the best way to kind of follow your journey and maybe watch the fight and whatnot?
Yeah, so I do have my own website. It's ameliamoreboxing.com. And on that, the main page always has the countdown to my next fight. It'll have right underneath it is click for tickets or for live stream. So I update that. I do it all myself. I update everything on there. It also has links to my social media. I'm very, very active on Instagram if you guys have an IG account. So welcome to follow the journey on Instagram. I'm not so active on X or Twitter. It's I don't know. I feel like I need to be, but I'm not. And my
It's tough. You had a long list. We know
oh
that.
my gosh, it's just like, it's like trying to post stuff to like Facebook Market and offer up. It's you have to do one and then you're reposting to everything else. It just feels like unauthentic. So, but yeah, my website is probably the best placed as like a landing site of everything else. So you go there, you can find merch, I have a vlog on there, and then all my links to my social media and everything that's coming up and coming next on the horizon. So, yep.
Awesome. We will put the website right in the video description here for those of you curious who want to check it out. And Amelia, thank you so much. We appreciate having you on, and maybe we'll have to have you back another time. So.
Absolutely. Love to. Once when the title fights come, love to be back on.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks so much, Amelia.
Thanks, Owen.